Doreen and I started church planting when we were teenagers in the early 90s.
Yeah.
For me,
You were 15.
I was 15.
I was
Jesus
18.
Jesus is coming very soon at that time, so the sense of urgency was very strong. So for me, I dropped out of high school just to plant the church. And then eventually God led us to be trained and while pastoring a church, and then eventually both of us became seminary professors. We've been in the seminary context for more than 2 decades already. And then in 1999, God called us to do ministry with the indigenous peoples in the island of Mindoro.
While when we were still seminary students.
Yes, we were still seminary students that time. And and so we went to a mission trip, and since that time, we continued our work with the Mangyets. In 2019, God called us to set up a Bible school for the Mangyets. And when we started, we know that it's going to be challenging. And one of the things that we did right away is to do a consultation with the community. We know that for the Bible school to be effective, it must be meeting the needs, the training needs of the Christian leaders that are there, the needs of the church as well, and how they will respond to the challenges in their community or society at that time.
Yeah, in the consultation, we asked them 4 questions. One is, what are your challenges? Both current challenges and the future challenges that they see. The second is we asked them, what is your dream for your community, your the tribal villages, and what is your dream for your church? And the third question that we asked them is, what is your ideal graduate? Because they requested the Bible school, so we asked them, if we will have this Bible school, what is the picture of the ideal graduate that you want? So we asked them, what are the knowledge that you want this graduate to have? What are the skills? And the last is the character, the behavior that you want this student to have.
We know that we have to do it this way because we are familiar with the curriculum of the seminaries and Bible schools, and we did not want to bring or do what the founders of seminaries did when they copied everything from America, all the curriculum, and then brought it here in the Philippines. And that we don't want to do because many of those things we do not really need in the
Yeah.
field. So
And we did the curriculum for a year. The curriculum development, the gathering of data, the interview for 1 year.
and one of the reasons is that we also train we train the locals to uh, how to think of curriculum, how to make it, how to do it, how to craft it. And that's why we were able to produce what we call our six learning pillars. So we have Bible and theology. So they ask us, they want to know how to interpret the scriptures and to communicate it to their community in such a way that their community will understand it. Not the way that they were used to be taught, because the things that they have uh, learned before, they tried it, they used it, it's not, they were not working. So they asked us to help them with that as well.
Yeah, we do not have systematic theology because we learn that that's not the way the tribal people think. So the way we explain theology is through the stories. Example, if we want to prove to say that Jesus is God, rather than define divinity and come up with many biblical verses, we teach them the story about how Jesus demonstrated that he is God.
And then they shared to us they said that we have vast land because they are indigenous peoples, but they experience malnutrition and hunger. So they asked us to help them develop their land and to sell it to profit from the land. So that's why we have entrepreneurship. We also have sustainability and generosity. Most, I think, more than 80% of the churches in the Philippines, they are not sustainable.
Mhm.
And the only framework that they learn in terms of financial framework is love offering and
And
tithes.
tights.
No other financial framework.
Yeah.
And again, this is not the things, these aren't the things that are not taught in the seminary, but are needed in the field. So we teach them about sustainability and generosity as well. And then we have integral mission.
Mhm.
We establish a strong foundation of the mission of the church,
Mm.
and that is a broader understanding of the mission, which is an integral mission.
Our students are trained to see and to know that they are not the pastor of their church only, they are the pastor of the whole community. So they are trained to see the needs and the problems in the community, and we train them for visibility studies, community organizing, etc.
Yes, and also how to create projects and manage it as well. Um, our
Culture.
next is cultural awareness and appreciation and innovation. The Mangyans, they are 8 tribes, different languages. So if they have to do church planting in other tribes, they have to learn language, they have to learn culture, and also this is also their way of appreciating their own culture and use it in evangelism and also discipleship as well. And then lastly, church planting. They shared to us how they struggled in planting churches and growing churches. The church have plateaued and they want change. Right?
Mhm.
So in SLI, we are the only training school that we can claim that is that is using a context-rooted curriculum. Context-rooted,
Yeah.
um, so it is responsive to the needs of the community. It uses ways of learning and communication of the people. Spiritual formation is informed by the knowledge, practices, frameworks, and social cultural context of the people. And it is developed through the collaboration between Christian leaders, community members, theological educators, and stakeholders, such as mission organizations, denominations, independent churches. And I think the most important here is that the locals are very much involved.
Yeah.
Their voices are very strong in developing this curriculum because we believe that they know better their community and the training needs that they need.
By the way, when we gathered the data, Neil and I were tempted to just interpret the data that we have gathered, but Neil said we have to ask the locals to help us make sense of the data that we have gathered, because we don't assume that this is what they need. They have to tell us that this is what they need. So context rooted for us means that the locals, that the chieftains that were interviewed, the pastors that were interviewed had a say into what goes into the curriculum.
So we also use integrative learning, connecting, incorporating various ideas and experiences across different disciplines and subjects and apply them to a new context. And as well as we use different learning and communication approaches, most especially that those learning and communication approaches with that are are already being used by the local community.
Yeah, one of the questions that Neil asked when we were gathering the data for the curriculum development is, how do you learn? How do you learn in the culture? How does an information pass on from one person to the other, and from one generation to the other generation? And when we learn how, and when we learn the method and how they learn, that is the method that we use in the school as we teach the students.
Yeah, one of the things that they accepted this framework is that I asked them how they were converted, how their elders, the older Christian, how were they converted
To
to
Christianity
Christianity, and
because they were animists.
they told us of the story of an American missionary, uh, giving film showing, using singing,
Stories.
using storytelling, and so on. And I asked them, why are you not using these things anymore?
They lost it
And
somewhere.
they said because we're trained differently from Bible
Bible
school and the
schools.
churches where they
Yeah.
belong
So
to.
they lost it.
Right. And then we are using transformational theological education approach. So we are very we are emphasizing development of skills and character traits. This more on transformational theories as well.
Mhm. Also, we have income generating activities. Neil and I are both pastors' kids. We were also church planters when we were younger, and we knew that in the Philippines, if you are church planters, you don't get support. You're on your own. And so we said we will not do this to our students. We will help them get the help that they need. So in our school, if you know Shark Tank on TV, Shark Tank is a person will present his business idea to a panel, and the panel will give suggestions on how he will work on the business. So our students are trained for this income generating activity. The reason of that is so that our church planters will have money to feed their family, and also the money to to support their church planting project, and also because they are modeling wealth creation in the community. So in the Mangyan tribes, the tribal people would want to
Imitate them.
imitate the pastors or the leaders. So this wealth creation by our students will be practiced or shared in the tribal communities.
And it the previous model is very ironic ironic or um, it's not good modeling for the committee. Like, for example, a pastor would just go to their community and start evangelism, and this pastor doesn't do anything to,
Support his family.
any, they don't see him farming, they don't see him doing anything, and so on. So it's something that is not a positive influence to the community as well.
Yeah, because we want our students to for the community to see that they are sending their children to school, that they have food to eat. And so this business that our students are trained is good modeling in the community. And also it emphasizes serving the communities in holistic and uh integrated church planting model. That's our model that we use in Saleng. Integrated church planting model emphasizes serving communities in holistic way while using culturally appropriate methods in sharing the gospel and teaching the scriptures for discipleship. Uh, okay, next. So here are some picture. As we have shared, you cannot graduate in our school unless you plant a church. So all our graduates have planted churches. Okay. Uh, because it's an integral mission that we teach them. So we also have feeding program in the community. And the feeding program is from the vegetable community garden that the students establish in the villages. So this is where the food come from that they use for their feeding programs in the community. They're the story.
And also we are using Bible storying dialogue, something that we learned from Kuya Bell and
Kuya Sunny.
Kuya Sani and Ate Bell, and also from the iOS, Dr. Charles as well, and Ate Rose. We incorporate ethno arts as well in our Bible storying dialogue. And this is this is very effective because we start with just storytelling. Okay, our pastor will bring coffee and sugar, and then at the church planter will do that, and then eventually they will just talk about their lives, and eventually they will be talking already Bible stories.
One of the things that we are very passionate in Saleng is to celebrate the culture of our people. What happened was when they became Christians, they were told by their pastors and their Bible schools that, oh, you should stop using your dances, they're evil, your songs. And so they stopped doing that. And because of that, they have difficulty going to their own people now because the chieftains no longer like them, because the chieftains think that when you become a Christian you cease or you stop being a mangyan. But when we started showing them that, you know, the culture and the songs and the dances can be redeemed by God, and they started doing this, many of the chieftains opening up their tribal villages because songs and dances and stories are being used by our students. One of the chieftains who came to the school visiting us told Neil, he said, this is the first time that we felt in Tagalog kalinga. He said it, I'll say it in Tagalog and translate it. He said, ito, ngayon lang namin naramdaman ang kalinga ng iglesia. It means this is the only time that we felt that the church cares, that the church care for us. And Neil said, why do you say so? And he said, because you saw poverty, you saw hunger, and you address it. You did something about it. It's not a lot, small things that you do, but you did something about it. And also they appreciate that the students use their own language. The chieftains before thought that the prodigal son is their own story because the language that is being used. So that's the story of the Saleng Ministries. Thank you.